The pharynx is a funnel-shaped passageway of the upper respiratory system that connects the nasal cavity to the mouth. It is divided into three sections: the nasopharynx, the oropharynx, and the laryngopharynx. The nasopharynx, highlighted in purple, opens to the nasal cavity and oropharynx and is superior to the soft palate. It is only an air passageway and is closed during swallowing. It destroys pathogens entering from the nasal cavity and provides some protection from infection. It contains the opening to the pharyngotympanic tube, the pharyngeal tonsils, and the tubal tonsils. The oropharynx, highlighted in green, is the arch-like entranceway that lies between the soft palate and the epiglottis. It opens to the mouth, nasopharynx, and laryngopharynx. It contains the palatine tonsils and the lingual tonsils. The laryngopharynx, highlighted in blue, is continuous with the esophagus and larynx. It is the passageway for both food and air. The pharyngeal constrictor muscles function to compress and narrow the walls of the pharynx during swallowing. They comprise the external layer of the pharyngeal muscles. The superior pharyngeal constrictor muscle attaches to the pterygomandibular raphe, the sphenoid bone, and the mandible. It is innervated by the pharyngeal branch of the vagus nerve in the pharyngeal plexus. The middle pharyngeal constrictor muscle attaches to the hyoid bone and is innervated by the pharyngeal branch of the vagus nerve, the pharyngeal plexus, and the branches of the external and recurrent laryngeal nerve. The inferior pharyngeal constrictor muscle attaches to the thyroid cartilage. This muscle is innervated by the pharyngeal branch of the vagus nerve, the pharyngeal plexus, and branches of the external and recurrent laryngeal nerve. The longitudinal pharyngeal muscles elevate the larynx and shorten the pharynx during swallowing and speaking. They consist of the salpingopharyngeus, the palatopharyngeus, and the stylopharyngeus muscles. The salpingopharyngeus muscle originates along the cartilaginous part of the pharyngotympanic tube. It opens the pharyngeal orifice of the pharyngotympanic tube during swallowing. It is innervated by the pharyngeal branch of the vagus nerve and the pharyngeal plexus. The palatopharyngeus helps to form the internal walls of the laryngopharynx. It originates from the hard palate of the palatine aponeurosis and runs down the length of the pharynx. It is innervated by the pharyngeal branch of the vagus nerve and the pharyngeal plexus. The stylopharyngeus also helps to form the internal walls of the laryngopharynx. It originates at the styloid process of the temporal bone and passes between superior and middle pharyngeal constrictor muscles. It is innervated by cranial nerve 9, the glossopharyngeal nerve. Please take a moment to pause the video and note the nerves that innervate the longitudinal pharyngeal muscles.